Shanti, Shanti, Shanti.
If Shiva is the one who destroys or dissolves, well, the other day, Puja Swamiji was speaking about the churning of the ocean. And when the ocean was churned, how what came out of the ocean was first poison. And in order to keep churning, in order to get the amrit, that nectar of immortality, well, somebody had to do something with the poison. And Lord Shiva came forward and drank it. He couldn't take it down into his system because, of course, as God, the whole world lives inside him. And so he couldn't swallow it because it would destroy the world inside. But if he spit it out, it would destroy the world outside. And so he held it in his throat and actually came to sit here in the Himalayas. This is where we have the Nilkand Mahadev temple, which literally means blue throat. And so it said that when Lord Shiva held the poison in his throat, that his throat became blue and he came and sat here to meditate. So the question is, well, shouldn't that have been Vishnu's job? If what we're talking about is a sustaining of the universe, shouldn't that have been Vishnu's job? The whole concept of the breaking of them is something that when you get into the heights of Advaita Vedanta, when you get into the depths of that teaching, all of the distinctions and the borders and the boundaries dissolve. So it's not about here's creation over here, here's sustenance over here, here's destruction over there, but it's one. It's happening simultaneously, which is what quantum physics is now beginning to tell us the same thing. You know, we used to look at time as linear. Creation, you're born. Sustenance, you live for a while. Destruction, you die. End of story. Or even should you believe in reincarnation, again, you're born, you live, you die. It's still linear. It just may be on a repeat cycle. But quantum physics is now telling us what the scriptures have been saying for thousands of years, which is that actually it's all taking place at the same time. Which is why, and I'll come back to this in a moment, but it's why when the masters have access to information that breaks these rules of time and space. So the master can know what's happening in Los Angeles right now, defying the law of space. I mean, most of us could not tell you what's going on there right now because we're here. And the law of space says we can only be in one place at one time. We have no way of knowing what's going on there unless we pick up the phone and ask somebody or go on the internet. But being right here, not on the phone, not on the internet, we have no way of what's going on, of knowing what's going on there. Similarly, the law of time says we have no way of knowing what's going to happen next week. The law of time. But on the deepest level that now quantum physics is telling us the same thing, is it actually isn't quite so linear. There isn't this just intersection as we think of it, of time and space, but it's actually space-time. And a lot of it is all happening simultaneously. I don't understand the nuances of quantum physics nearly as well as I would like to. But with regard to your question simply, it's not quite so linear and distinct. On the other hand, let's go back to the story and see whether we can't figure it out from the story. Well, the story began by the deities, the devtas, in a constant battle with their brothers, the demons. And of course, this is symbolic that in our lives also, in life, both internally in our own minds as well as in our world, there is this constant battle between the divine and the demon, between the good and the bad, that this battle goes on constantly. Because the demons were always prepared to use all sorts of non-kosher techniques to win the battles, they were winning, as happens in our world frequently. And the divine ones were getting slowly killed. And so they went to God and said, give us a boon. Give us immortality so that we can stay immortal, because otherwise these demons are going to kill us and the whole world is going to become demonic and dark. And so we need this boon of immortality. And so what they were told was, okay, there is this nectar of immortality, but in order to get it, you have to churn the ocean. And in order to churn the ocean, you're going to need the help of your brothers, the demons. You can't do it all yourself. You're going to need their help. And so together, as they're churning, so many things come out of the ocean before the nectar comes out. I won't go into the whole list of all of the things that came out of that ocean. But one of the things that came out was poison. And as Pujya Swamiji always says when he speaks about the story, in our lives, as we're churning, whether it's a churning in our mind, whether it's a churning in our lives, we're looking for nectar. But so frequently poison comes out. And we shouldn't worry about that. And so we have to keep going. A lot of people, when that comes up, whether it's in meditation, in our other spiritual practice, whether it's in psychotherapy, whatever it may be in, a lot of people run from it and say, forget it. I'm not getting better, I'm getting worse. And what the teaching is, keep going. The nectar will come. But first, the poison has to be dealt with. And of course, nobody wants to deal with the poison. But what happens in our lives, again, when we take the metaphor into ourselves, when that poison comes up, when I'm suddenly face to face with my own ego, with my own anger, with my own fear, with my own desires, with my own false self, when I'm face to face with that, there's no room for nectar. There's nothing but darkness there, it seems. It feels like the poison has overcome me. And until and unless I deal with that, I'm not going to be able to get the nectar. And this is where in our spiritual practice, we have so many practices of how to deal with that poison. We do yagna ceremonies. We have baths in ganga. We do other rituals. We do seva. We do so much that purifies ourselves. And this, I think, is where Lord Shiva comes in. Because while on the surface, you're right, Kamesh, that when we're looking at sustenance, it should be Lord Vishnu. Really what's happening is that which is not true, that which is not self is having to be removed in order to make room for the truth to emerge, right? This is that which was happening in the churning of the ocean is the exact same thing that happens in our own lives. You go to sit to meditate, you embark on a spiritual path. You start to peel yourself back layer by layer. What comes out? Poison. Even if you don't embark on a spiritual path, it's still what's there. There's the ego. There's the anger. There's the grudges. There's the unfulfilled expectations. There's the attachments. There's all the stuff that every time you get churned, whether you're churning yourself purposely, spiritually, whether you're just living in the world and the world is churning you the way that it does, what comes out is poison. And the reason that we need Shiva to deal with that instead of Vishnu is Shiva is the one who removes that which is old, that which is holding us back, that which is dead, you can say, in order to make room for the new life, for Brahma's creation. And so if what I've got coming up is my history, my identity, my anger, my ego, all of that stuff that is rooted in not self, that is rooted in not truth, and is holding me back, then Lord Shiva is exactly the one who I need to take care of that. I don't want it to sustain. I want it to be removed. I want it to be dissolved. And this is why on Mahashivratri, for example, when we're worshiping Lord Shiva all night, the prayer that we do is, "O Lord Shiva, remove from me, dissolve in me, destroy from me that which is blocking me, that which is holding me back, that which is old, that which is dark, that which is untruth, so that tomorrow morning when I emerge from my Mahashivratri meditation, all of that will be removed. So there's room for the new me, the divine me to emerge." And that's what the nectar is. Because the nectar of immortality, think about it. Nobody can be immortal. Everything that is created, we know this, everything that is created has to be dissolved. It's the nature of the universe. So when we talk about the nectar of immortality, it doesn't literally mean that my body will not ever die. When we pray in our prayers to lead us from death to immortality, it doesn't mean literally make my body free from the laws of nature. It doesn't mean make my body age-proof, wrinkle-proof, falling apart proof. It means, "Oh God, lead me from my identification with that which is mortal. My identification with this body. Identification with my career, my relationships. From that identification to an identification with that which is immortal in me, my soul, spirit, consciousness, the truth, the capital T truth." So in order for the nectar of immortality to emerge, the poison, the ignorance that keeps us stuck with the mortal had to be removed by Lord Shiva.